winds that are moving into the area. We'll take another look here at the radar part of this, and you can see very intense rain that is moving in through the Lake Charles area. Now let's come back and kind of reset things real quick and show you what's going on elsewhere. Just want to keep you updated as we're approaching 4:50 now on this Monday afternoon. Very intense storms going on across portions of Allen as well as Beauregard Parish. You can see those storms going on there. And let's see, there's a new tornado warning. I believe that's just going to be an extension of this warning that was already in place. They're kind of remapping this tornado warning, if you will, because of the likely tornado that's about to move out of the warning. And yeah, that pretty much is what I'm seeing. Let's see, let me read from their warning at 4:48. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing tornado located over Lake Charles, as well as ping pong ball sized hail. That too is a threat. And I'm listening here at our studio. I don't hear any evidence of hail falling here, but certainly the tornado part of this is definitely something that we need to keep a very close eye on. And let's do another storm track on this since it includes areas into Jeff Davis Parish. I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit and let's track this off in an easterly direction. If this were to hold together this long, this potential tornado could continue moving east and get to around the Cameron Clough exit area by around 5 o'clock. That's here on the map. If it holds together farther east over near the Iowa area, which of course is where J.I. Watson Middle School is located, in about, I'd say, 20 minutes or so from now, and going beyond that, places like Lacassine down toward the Lorraine Bridge by around 5:20 or so this afternoon. So please go ahead and get to a safe place or know where you're going if you're that far east. You don't necessarily have to get there at this moment. We've got a little time if you're over near Lacassine down toward the Lake Arthur vicinity, but certainly you need to know where you're going to go if this storm does not weaken. And at this moment, it hasn't shown much sign that it's going to weaken at all. There's a look at those wind speeds again, seeing that blue now moving into the heart of Lake Charles, specifically areas along Interstate 210. I want to come back to our sky cam and see if I see anything, and of course still dealing with the whiteout conditions because of the rain that is falling there. The camera is just really blinded by all the rain that is going on. I'm going to come back. And sorry, I'm pausing sometimes to listen to wind. I'm looking at some data off camera. I can't show you this on television, but our camera at the Golden Nugget has reported a wind gust to 75 miles per hour recently. So even though it's kind of obscured by the building, it's still reporting 75 plus mile per hour winds. And that definitely matches up closely with what we're seeing as far as with the radar estimates we're showing on the velocity. And I fully suspect, I have no reason to believe none of that, or have reason to believe all of that would likely be reaching the ground as we speak. Into the heart of Lake Charles proper, downtown Lake Charles, you can see the definitely signature of a tornado, and that's this, where the red kind of turns back into the green coloration. Again, I'm not going to focus on much in trying to pinpoint a precise tornado, because to me, this is a larger area of wind that is the bigger problem as far as the large swath of wind. And I suspect here at our downtown studios, we are about to see the worst here, as well as a strong gusty winds. My news director, Jillian Corder, here with me.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm here just in case we lose power here at our
station. In case we need to go live on Facebook.
In case we need to go live on Facebook, which is the plan. That's what we'll do. We've learned the hard way through Hurricane Delta how to do that, and that is what we'll do if necessary.
And we're warning you that because, you know, we're under construction because of the damage from Hurricane Laura, and we're having some issues with a generator today, and we're keeping an eye on that. I'm looking outside of a window here at our studio, and the wind is definitely cranking up pretty good now. I'd say 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gust likely going on at this moment here at our downtown studios. So keeping an eye on that as well, and we'll keep monitoring the storm, but obviously, and Jillian's coming into the storm center with me in case we lose power, because we may also lose lights if that happens. So not going to be a fun day, but those of you here in the Lake Charles area need to be in a safe place now. I'm not seeing as much of that larger area of the 70, 80 mile per hour winds, but I have no reason to believe that this is weakened at all. So please continue to treat this. Anyone in Lake Charles. Now, if you're in Moss Bluff, you may be wondering, I know you're considered Lake Charles. you're outside of this, it's probably still very gusty. Likely a lot of heavy rain is still falling as well, but those of you in Moss Bluff, I think, are just a little removed from the worst of this weather. It's definitely moving right through the heart of Lake Charles as we speak now, and will continue to move off to the east. Some very close lightning strikes going on now here at our downtown studios as well. And let me do another storm track on this real quick, and we'll show you that this is moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. The radar just updated, so we'll do right at the leading edge of that, moving off to the east. There you can see around the Iowa area, that's in a little more than 10 minutes from now as far as the timing in Iowa. If it holds together, riding right along Interstate 10, Lacassine in about 15 to 20 minutes from now, and maybe even as far east as the Welsh area by just before 5:30 this afternoon. And that's, again, if it holds together, we'll see. This storm has definitely had a history for a little more than about 30 minutes now. It's already been going on, at least the damaging wind aspect. Whether or not the tornado was on the ground that whole time is not a cause that we need to really be worried about. It's the larger scale wind issues that are definitely you need to be alert of. And if anyone's watching now in the Sulphur, Vinton, Starks area, you guys are out of the worst of this. It may still be raining, but I always try to give you a heads up when we're in severe weather coverage like this, when the threat is over. If you're in Sulphur proper, the threat of severe weather is over now. Out toward the Edgerly area, out near Starks and Vinton and the Fox 29 transmitter location. I mentioned all those areas earlier when we started this severe weather coverage about 30 minutes or so ago. You guys are in the clear and can come out of whatever safe place you may be in. So, and if you are in those areas, if you have any damage reports, please send that information along to us. We'd love to see what you see where you're at. You can do that using our First Alert Weather app. There is a submit feature in the weather app. You can also send it to news@kplctv.com. If you want to send it via email, or you can even tag us on Facebook or any of that way. We'd certainly love to know what is going on that information. If you have any info, Jill, just tell me or yell out, and I'll stop.
I don't know if it's possible right now to move cameras around. They were just saying moving it to the Westlake area might be beneficial.
Unfortunately, we don't have the camera in Westlake, so let's take a quick look at the Skycam though and see what we can see now on our Skycam, and it is still in whiteout condition. It looks like it may actually be pointed at the sky. There probably was a power spike here. I know this happened last time we had severe storms in that area, so as you'll see this happen live on TV as well. Let me see if it is pointed at the sky. And even if it wasn't earlier, it was definitely in whiteout conditions with rain anyway, and there you can see that it was pointed at the sky. Kind of pan this around just a little bit. We're looking west across toward the industry area. You're about to see the LeBerge Casino come into view, so that's looking up the Calcasieu River toward the port of Lake Charles. Obviously, downtown Lake Charles would be just above and beyond the top of the LeBerge Casino Resort if you were able to see that, but we just simply cannot see that far as the radar. We'll come around where all we're going to see is the top of the building here at the moment. But just give you a vantage point. Plus, we'll see if there's any damage on top of the building. I don't see anything out of place there. That's looking over toward Preon Lake Park now, looking kind of south from the LeBerge Casino, and you can see I-210 bridge there in the distance as well. We'll kind of leave that pointed in that direction. But that is the camera. Let's look at the wind speed once again. Looks like 75 was the top from that camera location. That would have been right when the height of the storm was arriving, and it honestly sounds like rain is getting heavier here in downtown Lake Charles, at least here at our studio location. I don't hear a lot of evidence of strong winds, but I see a new tornado warning that was just issued. This is a separate tornado warning. This is for around the Grand Lake area. You can see this storm. In fact, let's focus on this one a little bit. And let me jump back over to the velocity. That's how we measure the wind product with this. And the area is here just around the Sweet Lake area is likely where this potential tornado is located. A tornado located around the Hackett's Corner area, about 7 miles south of Lake Charles, moving east at around 45 plus miles per hour. So let's do a quick storm track on this particular storm as well. I'm going to speed up my track a little bit just to give you guys a little bit more of a heads up. But let's do this, and we'll show this moving east. Luckily, this one is going to be more rural areas that won't be quite as impacted, but areas near the Gibbstown Bridge, basically now or very soon from now over toward the Lowry community. That's south of Lake Arthur. That's in about 15 minutes or so from now. And then St. Teresa Church, that's about 25, 30 minutes from now. That's also kind of southeast of the Lake Arthur vicinity, south of Lake Arthur. So there is a separate tornado warning storm there. There's also this tornado warning storm that's in the heart of Lake Charles. Now, I want to address one other thing that you might see here going on with the radar, and I'm going to jump back over to in front of the what we call the green screen, the weather wall here, and kind of point this out. I was focused on blue colors earlier when this storm was coming in from the west, and we have a really interesting effect going in there. I'm going to step back off the camera because that looks really strange. Folks in our control room, I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but there's something wrong with okay, they're going to have to focus. We'll have to do this live on camera, so I do apologize. The things that sometimes happen on live TV, but you'll see me come into focus here real quick. But I'm watching the storm here that's in the Iowa vicinity, and what I'm talking about is earlier was showing blue. That was the area I was watching. Well, now that the storm is moving away from the radar can only see two directions. It can see wind toward the radar, which is up here at the top, blue or green, and then wind that is away from the radar, which goes from red to yellow, and this magenta is included in that. So now we're focused on this area that's more magenta colors, located out just east of Chenault and moving on toward the east. This is heading into the Iowa area now, heads up around Lacassine and all the way over toward Welsh as well, as that's where the strongest winds would be located, would be in eastern portions of Calcasieu Parish. Specifically, again, Iowa, you guys are up next as far as the threat of that is concerned. We'll come back over to the radar. We'll go back to the regular radar view on this real quick and show you what I'm watching. I also want to kind of reset things because there's a lot going on. This isn't just one particular storm. We'll come back to this separate tornado warning storm that's going on in the Grand Lake area, Sweet Lake area. That has moved off to the east. Again, I think the tornado part of this is near Highway 27 moving east. That's out. Those of you along Fruget Road, out to Pine Pasture Road, anywhere in that vicinity is where there is a potential tornado going on with that particular storm. And we'll come back out to a wider view real quick. And let's reset things real quick. I always try to do this as often as possible. And Jillian Corder is still in here with us, our news director and anchor.
Between Houston River Road and Highway 90 in Sulphur, we were receiving some video from there that very much looks like some...
Yeah, there's definitely what you can't see, obviously, yet. We'll effort to get that on TV at some point, but looks like likely a funnel cloud for sure, possibly even a tornado. Again, that was in the vicinity of Houston River Road a little earlier. That would have been earlier. So let's jump up to Allen Parish real quick. I don't want to forget about you guys. Try to include everyone in our, as far as coverage is concerned, when we can. Strong storms. I don't see anything quite as severe here, but definitely still some gusty winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour, are likely across portions of Allen. Beauregard, it is still raining, but it looks like the greatest risk of severe weather has definitely come to an end in Beauregard Parish, so at least good news. And as far as that is concerned, but just keep alert in Beauregard. There's still some rain and storms around. Cameron Parish, the rest of Cameron Parish, it's just rain, but it's this particular storm now moving just east of Grand Lake, right along the Calcasieu, Cameron, and Jeff Davis Parish lines, where those three parishes merge. That's out near the Illinois plant area. Those of you in that area know exactly where I'm talking about. Need to be in a safe place now. And radar still indicating the likelihood of very gusty winds here around the Iowa area. I'm going to kind of query or kind of click here on the screen real quick and show you some of those wind speeds. And let me lose the warnings real quick again. It's default to show both because I always try to get the most information. But setting in front of the computer, I have the luxury of kind of clearing some of that out. And that's good news. It's not as intense as this was earlier, but still 60 plus mile per hour winds showing up here just south of the Iowa area down to near Highway 14. So heads up here, this is about to move out of Calcasieu Parish. Those of you that are south of Iowa know the areas I'm talking about here. This is about to move into western Jeff Davis Parish, so heads up between Iowa and Lacassine. You guys have probably about 5 minutes or so around the Lacassine area before this reaches your area, as this is moving off to the east fairly rapidly at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So heads up Lacassine, then Welsh would be next in line, and areas south of that as well, not just specifically in those communities. Remember, we're not just tracking one small little tornado. I'm tracking a larger swath or kind of area of intense winds, if you will, as far as the worst is concerned, as far as that is concerned. And I'm getting some text messages now from several friends as well. Just trying to answer a couple of these because some of these are sending me information as well. I think that answered everyone that was there. You can see the Iowa area now. As I said, this is now moving into western Jeff Davis Parish as far as the strongest wind potential is concerned. We'll zoom in a little closer. You can see, of course, Highway 101. Highway 90, that's out to Harris Road. I see Clifton Road here, Jeff Davis Road. And again, some of these may or may not be correct as far as the exact name, but if you're in that vicinity, the Ardoin Cove area, you're in the line to see this as well. Lacassine proper, anyone there needs to be in a safe place, as this storm will be awfully close to you with damaging winds, 60 plus miles per hour. I will say there's good news. At least the wind potential with this doesn't look to be quite as intense, but still, I see a little kind of spike here in this storm that's now east of Highway 27, as I said, near the Pine Pasture Road area out near Illinois Plant. Still likely, that's in northern Cameron Parish, of course, watching that storm as well. And definitely a very well-defined notch signature still showing up here. That's what we're looking at as far as a tornado potential around Iowa to LeBleu Settlement. The radar updates here every minute to minute and a half. So again, this is moving east rapidly. And there you can see what I'm talking about, that kind of inward notch, if you will, on the radar. I'll come back over here and stand in front of this and kind of point it out so you can see right here on the screen. That is usually indicative of a tornado, or at least the potential tornado. And of course, based on what we've seen already this afternoon, I would say, yes, this most likely is occurring. And this is borderline on the edge of the tornado warning. So even those of you up near the Woodlawn community, you're not officially in the tornado warning, but probably should treat this as if you are, just to be safe, as this is awfully close to you. But I do think the greater risk of winds is included in this warning from Iowa south to down to near Highway 14 as you're heading down toward the Bell City area. Is definitely seeing the worst of that. And again, that warning is set to expire in about 9 minutes from now. We'll see what's going to happen with that. Obviously, I'm seeing a thing here in our chat program. Damage has been reported on Old Spanish Trail. Of course, that's in the Sulphur, Westlake area. They're kind of between Sulphur and Westlake. And damaging wind swath, 70 plus mile per hour expected in Welsh here within the next about 10 minutes or so. It's on top of you now in the Lacassine area. We'll come back to the wind, and you can see that the wind may have intensified a little bit there in the vicinity of Iowa. Radar definitely picking up on some very intense winds, still 60 plus, 70 plus mile per hour winds being reported there in the Iowa area, and that is all moving off toward the east at about 40 to 45, and that's a good time for me to do another quick storm track on this and kind of show you where this may be going. We'll kind of go out here just ahead of the leading edge of the wind, and we'll push this east and give you guys in the Jennings area a first alert, because if this holds together, you guys would be in line to receive this storm as well. Welsh, within the next, I'd say 6 to 7 minutes, it would be in your area. As I said, it's on top of you in Lacassine now. Less than 10 minutes to Welsh, and about 15 to 20 minutes or so from now, getting into the Jennings vicinity. And if it continues beyond that, it would be out of our viewing area, but maybe over toward the Mermentau community by around 5:30 this afternoon. Again, we're tracking really the larger area of damaging winds. There may be a tornado included anywhere in that, but it's really that larger area of damaging winds that would be the most problematic, as that is moving off to the east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So moving fairly rapidly off toward the east as winds there 60 to 70 miles per hour look very likely from that particular storm. And it's interesting to see this little spike in winds showing up. I'm going to zoom in a little closer. You can see what I'm talking about. See how this area just east of the town of Iowa, that's officially in Jeff Davis Parish, where the radars now is picking up on an intense area of wind, maybe 80 plus mile per hour winds now showing up there, 85 to near 90 mile per hour winds. That's a sign that this storm may be intensifying once again. It wasn't quite as intense after it had passed through the Lake Charles vicinity, but definitely still going on. I'm going to come over here back to the green screen and kind of point this out just so those of you that are watching, I know sometimes it's easy for me to see things as the meteorologist, but it's this area of yellow here, that indicates where there's likely very intense winds. That white line, that's the Jeff Davis Calcasieu Parish line, just east of Iowa. Those of you in Iowa know where I'm talking about here, but right along Highway 90, that's right there. So heads up, Lacassine, this is heading in your direction real soon. I'd already told you it was on your doorstep. That was kind of the leading edge, but that more intense little burst of wind, and there could be a tornado there too. Even though it's not showing up quite as a definitive rotation, you could still get a brief tornado that could pop up. And of course, this is under the rain, so this is going to be what we call rain wrapped. You're not going to be able to see this. That's why I'm telling you, let's don't focus on that. We need to focus out ahead of that. When I tell you you need to be in a safe place, you need to be there now. And Lacassine, you should already be there, but please stay there. This is not over. Even though you may be hearing wind outside, we're not done yet. And I'm going to give a few of you an alert where you can clear and come out of your safe place if you can. And part of Lake Charles now is in that clear. And there's the radar updating. Now you can see that area of yellow has become a little larger, lined up along Highway 90, now moving into the Lacassine vicinity, right along Highway 90 and Highway 101. That's where likely 70, 80 plus mile per hour winds are being reported, at least at the radar height. Whether or not that's reaching the ground, it's too difficult to give you a 100% yes it is, but at this point I think it would be smart to let's just say that it is reaching the ground. And let's do another storm track on this. As I said, this is moving east, fairly rapid, at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. As far as the speed of the storm, the winds though here, 70, 80. So heads up, Welsh. It's getting very close to being on your doorstep now, down toward the Thornwell area. You're kind of on the very bottom or southern edge of that particular part of the storm, but I think it'd be prudent just to be in a safe place. Now, everyone else from Welsh East is not included in the tornado warning, though this storm is definitely moving east, and I suspect there'll be a new warning issued with this. So, Jennings, you've got about 10 to 15 minutes before this reaches your area, officially listed at around 5:25, but I'd say about 10 minutes or less it gets to the Jennings area and then moves east out of our area. And sure enough, there we go. I thought I heard my phone kind of vibrating in the distance, and there it is. There's a new tornado warning. So what I just said is 100% official as far as these areas being included. And this warning actually goes a little farther north, and that kind of accounts for that idea of that notch that I was talking about just north of Iowa, kind of riding along the edge of the tornado warned area. So this goes up to areas just north of Welsh as well, along Highway 99 up near the junction of Highway 102. I'm going to come back over and kind of reset the map a little bit and show you where I'm talking about. Those of you in the area probably know, but if you're watching this and not in that specific area, maybe you're wanting to let friends and family in the area know. There's the wider view of that warning just south of Fenton included in this warning, all the way over to near the Hathaway area is included in this particular tornado warning. And one of the forecasters from the National Weather Service lives in the Iowa area. He's 3.5 miles north of Iowa and estimating there north of Iowa 55 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts. So important to note that that is outside of the area that I was highlighting where radar is indicating 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. And so that matches up with what the radar is showing us, that definitely the worst winds going on there. And let's see. Seeing the strongest winds going on in the Lacassine area now. And that's going to be moving east toward the Welsh area. I do want to reset things once again. I know it may sound like a broken record, but as we're getting into the 5 o'clock hour, I want to try to include everyone because many more of you are watching outside of those warned areas, watching, and I'm seeing some folks sending in pictures as well on a chat program we have with the National Weather Service. Another person saying they would estimate 60 to 70 mile per hour winds just east of Iowa at the intersection of Highway 101 and Highway 90. I'm seeing a few pictures here of at least lowering clouds. I see some damage as well on a City Service Highway near the Walmart area. That's, of course, in Sulphur, City Service Highway. That's from an emergency official. Looks like in that vicinity, again, that's in the Sulphur area. So let's come back to the radar real quick. And you can see the very intense rain showing up here in Allen Parish. Beauregard, I feel confident telling you the worst is over. Yes, there's still some lightning in and around the DeRidder area, but I think the worst of any severe weather is over. The worst is over in Calcasieu Parish for DeQuincy, Starks, to Vinton, to Carlos. The Lake Charles area proper, at least if you're kind of west of Highway 171, Highway 14, you're in the clear as far as severe weather is concerned. There's still rain, there's still lightning, but if you're anywhere in the Lake Charles area proper and you took shelter somewhere in your home, you're safe to come out of that safe place and try to assess a little bit of wind, any damage you may have. Please be cautious, though. It is still raining. There's still lightning. In Cameron Parish, Hackberry to Holly Beach to Cameron, you guys are in the clear now as far as severe weather. But the eastern half of Cameron Parish still dealing with some very intense storms. And I don't want to forget about this storm, but thankfully this one is not impacting as many folks. In eastern Cameron Parish, you can see the tornado warning here going on in portions of Cameron Parish, specifically northeast Cameron Parish, around the Illinois Plant to Lowry vicinity. And even without a tornado, we're beginning to see more and more of that magenta showing up, which is the winds 60 to 70 to maybe even 80 miles per hour showing up. So again, even if this is not a tornado, please treat it as if it is. In fact, with that idea in mind, I'm going to do a little kind of housekeeping or cleaning up on this. And instead of focusing on one of those storms, I'm just going to do a larger swath of this, and we'll move this east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour and kind of show you the times of arrival. This includes some areas that are out of our viewing area, but if you know folks, I know we're very close to Acadia Parish and Northern Vermilion Parish. We don't officially cover those parishes, but if you know folks there, might want to give them a heads up. Even those folks were not included in the severe thunderstorm watch, but Storm Prediction Center is about to issue a new watch as well. But here's the timing of this larger complex. There's technically two clusters here I'm watching, but again, I'd rather just give you, for simplicity, one larger track. Thornwell basically now the Lowry area within the next probably 5 minutes. Jennings about 10 minutes from now if it holds together, and I see no reason it won't. It's continued this long, but heads up, Jennings in about 10 minutes or so from now is when this severe thunderstorm likely reaches your area with tornado winds. Let's just put it that way, because 70, 80 plus mile per hour winds is just as bad as one little individual EF0 tornado. Those update live when the imagery updates. And of course, Morse and Gadon is just outside of our viewing area, but within about 20 minutes pushing on toward the east over into portions of Acadia and Vermilion Parish. And once this moves out of our parishes, we will go back to regular programming and have a full update likely on 7 News at 6, as we'll probably have some pictures and video of any damage that may be going on. I know our news folks downstairs are efforting that as quickly as possible. We can't deal with that during an event just because we got to focus on what is actually going on as far as the weather is concerned. But I want to come back and I'm going to show you our Skycam, and I'm going to put up our Jennings Skycam now since the worst of the weather has passed the Lake Charles vicinity, and show you what's going on in Jennings. Do bear with me a second as I do this live here on TV while talking to you at the same time. There's the Jennings camera. And I'm going to actually go to the camera itself, and we're going to move this live on the air. We're actually looking south from this vantage point here. I'm going to have to turn the camera around. We're going to go around to a southeasterly direction. Now we're looking east. This is from the vantage point in downtown Jennings as we're continuing to kind of pan around. I realize my timing's a little off because I'm watching it on a screen and it takes a minute for it to reach television. Now we're looking northeast. We're looking about to be looking due north. You can see the water tower there just north. Okay, just a second. The folks who are talking to me in the back, I'm going to continue turning this camera real quick, and we are going to be looking through a tower this direction, but I'm going to leave this kind of camera pointed in this westerly direction, as that is the direction this storm would be coming from once it gets to the Jennings area. And Matt, I heard you say that we do have some video. If we can pull that up now, if we can, guys, in the control room, and we'll talk about that real quick. This is the video that Jillian, when she was up here a little earlier, was talking about around the Houston River Road area. You can see what is definitely at least a funnel cloud at this moment. Whether that was reaching the ground or not, I can't tell you, but based on the imagery, I would say it probably was. So you can definitely see that funnel that was extending from that cloud. Thanks to the viewers sending that in, and we can come back to radar now unless we have other video. And Matt is one of our producers in the back. If we get more, just let me know. I'll be glad to pop up any of those if we get additional videos in. But we're going to still stay on this storm as long as it is in our viewing area, which I think is at least another 20 minutes before this even gets out of southwest Louisiana, because we're still watching this storm that is in the Jennings vicinity now. I'm seeing folks in our newsroom, I'm not sure if you guys have heard this, but I'm seeing pictures on the I-10 bridge here in Lake Charles. Looks like an overturned semi on top of the Calcasieu River Bridge. Seeing that now as far as in our weather chat room on top of the I-10 bridge. So expect traffic delays because of this as well. Obviously the I-10 bridge is going to take some time before an overturned semi is going to be able to be cleared, and it just proves that the winds were very intense here in Lake Charles. But let's focus on our storm that is going now, and this area of winds definitely seems to be widening or intensifying here south of the Lacassine area. Now moving into Welsh toward the Thornwell area along Highway 99. In fact, let's do another quick storm track on this, and we'll show you this moving off toward the east rapidly. And I'm watching our Jennings sky camera off camera here as well. If we see anything interesting there, I'll pop that back up. But this gets into Jennings within the next probably 5 minutes or so, out near the Mermentau area, which is right along the Jeff Davis Acadia Parish line, within about the next 10 minutes. And then moving on east from there out of our viewing area over into portions of Vermilion as well as Acadia Parish. But once again, this area, very intense winds. I'm going to zoom in closer and just so you can kind of see some of the areas. Of course, there's the town of Welsh up near the top of your screen. I see Derwent Road. I see David Road, Welsh Canal Road. I'm assuming David here. If not, you probably know where I'm talking about. Ardouin Cove Road area. And this is moving east, so I'm going to come a little farther east. I see Farm Supply Road here, Corville Road area, the Rocca Road area, that's just south of Jennings. You guys will be in the path of this really, really soon. And then along Lyons Road, I know our weather watcher, Teresa Lyons, lives a little closer to Highway 14, but off of Lyons Road in that vicinity, if you know anywhere in this area, you need to be in a safe place now, as even if you're not officially included in the tornado warning, these 70, 80 plus mile per hour winds could still cause damage either to your home or especially to vehicles or campers or something like that. And driving would not be a good idea. If you're in this area and can get to a safe place, if you're driving, I would encourage you not to drive through this if at all possible. And this isn't just wind. There's also hail from this. Radar showing some pretty intense hail possibly around the Thornwell area as well. And we had the hail yesterday from some of the storms. Normally I would be focusing more on the hail, but since we have confirmation that wind is definitely a problem, I'm going to continue to focus more on the wind aspect of this, as that is the bigger problem. But it's safe to say that hail is still an issue out of most of the storms, at least where it's intense. And again, if I'm ignoring your area, it's not because we're not focusing on you. It's because either the threat is over, like it is for Western Cameron, Western Calcasieu Parish, most of Beauregard, most of Vernon. I think the risk of severe weather is over. Allen Parish, The only area I'm somewhat concerned, and even here it's not as bad as farther south, is around the Oberlin area. I'm going to show you the wind velocity. Notice we're not seeing that magenta color showing up there from those storms. Still, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds are likely across much of Allen Parish, especially where you have the red colors here with a lot of lightning from Oberlin to Kinder along Highway 26. But it's this area farther south from in central portions of Jeff Davis Parish where this is probably the most intense part of this storm. And seeing here from the National Weather Service, they're issuing a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Cameron Parish. That's going to allow the tornado warning to expire here at 5:30, but still a severe thunderstorm warning. And remember, even if there's a severe thunderstorm warning, that does not mean you can't have a tornado. It just simply means that it's more of a wind and hail issue. But because we have been seeing these little notches or velocity couplets, if you will, on radar, that's why there have been tornado warnings issued for some of these, and again, rightfully so. So let me go back to the velocity on this and kind of come back to the green screen real quick. Again, this area with the yellows showing up, this is where the strongest winds are likely located here. That's Highway 90 right here. Here's Jennings, so there's the Roanoke exit here, of course, Welsh, and those of you over toward Iowa and Lacassine, the worst is over in your area now, and there's the radar update. You can see that area of strongest winds just south of Roanoke along Highway 90, along Highway 1126. This is moving east, heads up in Jennings. You guys will see this really, really soon. In fact, I'm going to come back over and I'm going to pop up our Jennings Skycam now as I can see some dark clouds in the distance now. This was not visible a little while ago because of all the clouds, but now that the most intense part of this storm is getting closer, can definitely see it. And of course, that gray object is a tower. This camera is mounted on a communications tower, so we are looking through the tower to see this, but I'm going to kind of pan around, and that is as far around to the left as this camera can go. So in fact, I'm going to take the weather graphics off of this real quick, and we're just going to show you the raw from this in case there's any what we call a lowering of the cloud base or even a funnel or tornado visible here. We want to be able to see this if it's occurring, and I'm going to kind of pan the camera around. And I do apologize, it may try to autofocus, which is a positive thing, but it may make some of it go out of focus briefly. I don't see anything. That's looking more toward the north. The Jennings Airport's up that vicinity. We'll come back around. We're looking almost due west from downtown Jennings here. As you can see, the clouds rapidly approaching the camera location now. I don't see anything that's overly concerning. I'm going to come back here. You can see the kind of lowering of the cloud there, but without a clearer picture from this camera, I can't say if that's more concerning than just lowering of the clouds, but you could certainly see lightning. I see evidence that the wind is beginning to pick up here. The rain is beginning to fall now at our camera location. We're going to stick with this picture for a minute and just kind of see what we can see from this vantage point of the camera. We'll kind of watch this live here on television. This is the best vantage point. I've already told you numerous times the wind. You can see the wind really increasing now. This camera shakes a lot to begin with any amount of wind, but now it's really beginning to rock and roll here on this camera vantage point, and we'll see what the winds come out of this in a moment. I'm not going to try and plot them because the ones that show up are usually delayed by about a minute or so on television, so it'd be pointless to put this up anyway, but I would just want to stick with this. You can kind of get the vantage point that it is becoming very windy now here, this vantage point in downtown Jennings. This is south of the interstate, well south of the interstate, about 2 miles or so south of Interstate 10. This is the former Jeff Davis Bank office headquarters there in downtown Jennings, if you know where that's at there, not far from where they do the live music in downtown Jennings. Their tune-up on Tuesday events going on. So we get a great vantage point from this camera, but you can see today would not be a day to be outside. You need to be in a safe place now in Jennings. Very gusty winds are occurring here. I'm going to step off just so I can see if there's anything coming down as far as updates are concerned. I see some new information in the weather chat. I'm going to leave that picture, though, up. We're going to watch this live on air as we go. Again, as I told you about the overturned truck on Interstate 10 on the Calcasieu River Bridge. Severe thunderstorm watch continues for most of the area. There's been a new watch issued areas east of here. This is out of our viewing area, but where these storms are about to go, a new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued. That makes sense. And it looks like the severe thunderstorm watch continues for all of our area, at least for now. The National Weather Service now sending out a storm report. Wind damage possibly associated with a tornado. Public reports damage to stairs detached away from home, debris scattered across the yard, neighborhood fence. And I can't give you a location. I wouldn't give you an address anyway, but this is in the Westlake area is where that is being reported. For privacy reasons, I would never give you an address during live weather coverage like this, but news will be efforting more and more on that with the coming Okay, we have some video now from the Sulphur Walmart. I told you there was damage there. Here's a look at some of that video. You can see what looks like the gas station. The canopy there has suffered some damage. Looks like I see one of the lights down. The actual sign for the Walmart has received some significant damage as well. And of course, that's along City Service Highway, which runs north and south, which means that sign runs east and west, if you will. So that sign, the Walmart sign itself, took the brunt of the wind, and you can see the large swath there. Whether that was straight line winds or tornado, that'll take determination from the National Weather Service, but either way, you can see some very significant damage there. There's that sign again. That was likely hit by those strong, would have been westerly winds going on from that storm. And thank you, Matt, and everyone else in the newsroom efforting to get that information to us. Okay, we can take this too. We've got some video here of some sort of metal building structure here that has been blown over, and I see that sulfur fire. So this is in the Sulphur area somewhere. You can see that metal structure was blown from somewhere. I'm not sure where. We'll get you more detailed information coming up later on probably 7 News at 6 and later editions of news as well. We'll have more